On the Road with Kelly and Bob is brought to you by Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings. Made in America, made to last. Coming up on this episode...
It's funny, I think now that I work with her, I almost work harder because this is like my kid's future. That's how I kind of think of it, this company. Whereas before when I was working, I definitely worked hard, but I think I have more skin in the game now.
Hi, we're Kelly
and Bob Phillips, and we're on the perpetual road trip of America's back roads,
where the journey is always the destination. Hi, and thanks for joining us for this episode of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. I'm Kelly Phillips.
And I'm Bob Phillips. Kelly, you know my motto, right?
You must be talking about bite off more than you can chew and chew like hell.
That's it. And I have to say it has served me well many times over the years. Now, that phrase is easy to say, but I will be the first to admit that, well, without action, it's just words, just something to say.
Yeah, and it seems that a lot of the people we talk to on the road have met with their fair share of adversity. Some of them much more than their fair share.
Yep, like the woman we met in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
We had always made these pretzels years ago with oyster crackers, the recipes from a long time ago, and my family had done them with pretzels. You guys, both my daughters, did them in entrepreneur contests in middle school. So the idea was there. I lost a job that I thought I would retire from. You know, when I was at that age where you start thinking about retirement, and I was so down, just such a tough time. I had lost my dad, who was an entrepreneur, my sister, my dog, my job, and I was like, I'm gonna make pretzels and just sell them in my town. And they were Portsmouth pretzels, and it was a family recipe, so we had always had it. It was one of those things that was always around for family functions, and when they did the entrepreneur classes in middle school, it's like, you guys ought to do these pretzels. So it was always in the back of my mind, and I love to cook.
Suzanne Foley's life was going along, well, just fine, until it wasn't. In a short period of time, she lost family members who were near and dear to her heart. She lost her dog. She lost her job. If ever there was a time to just give up and have a meltdown, well, this was probably that time.
But Suzanne isn't the type to just throw up her hands and quit. Instead of letting adversity get the best of her, she reached way back into her childhood to find her next venture in life, pretzels.
I was in an unemployment meeting, and the state of New Hampshire offered a program where you actually didn't have to go looking for a job if you thought you wanted to start a company. I was like, okay, I'll sign up for that. I'm going to make pretzels.
If you think Suzanne Foley had a master plan for her new business venture, the answers to all the trials and tribulations that would come her way, well, think again. Her decision to start making pretzels for a living came purely from desperation. She needed a job. She needed a life. She needed to get her life back together after being shot down.
Some people say when your back is against the wall and you don't know what to do something. And that's exactly what Suzanne did. She admits it was pretty much by the seat of her pants, but she accomplished step number one. She did something.
It was Portsmouth Pretzels, and this was actually a takeoff of our city seal. So I was like, okay, all right, what's the logo? What's our seal in Portsmouth? And so that's how it started. I have a girlfriend that designed kitchens, and I was like, hey, can you do me a logo? And like, that's how it started. And then
kitchens to logos.
And I know everything I do here is probably backwards. And then I was like, okay, we like that. And I was like, can you put a couple seagulls on there for my kids? like, really? Totally
So these are the girls.
I'm the big seagull.
My kids would like to see.
And then, so then I, had a graphic designer when I needed a bag, come up with this in the background. So this is our church, our staple church in town, and then our tugboats. And that picture is actually from my cell phone.
No.
So, yes, I do. I'm scrappy. I'm scrappy. We laugh because we don't have a department of marketing or an Instagram group or a group that deals with, returns or complaints. We have policies for it, but it's funny. It's just us.
Brandon, have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Take care. He's been here now maybe 7 years, and he has an assistant. He can feel, when we used to put the dates on the top of the bag, he could feel them, and now they're on the back, but the assistant helps and
So
cruises.
is he completely blind?
100%
Okay,
blind.
100%
Yeah.
blind.
Yep. 74% of our employees, I think that's what makes us unique. We have good pretzels, but we love that mission of just what we do.
Suzanne's giving us a tour of her pretzel plant and has just said goodnight to Brandon, one of her employees, at the end of a long day. Brandon packs boxes of pretzels for shipping, in spite of the fact that he is totally blind.
But Brandon really isn't much different from most of the other workers here at Port City Pretzels. About 3/4 of the employees are special needs, blindness, intellectual and developmental disabilities. Some are in a wheelchair. Brandon is blind.
Here at Suzanne's pretzel business, it's more about who they are than what they do.
It's kind of a mini secret, but it's turned into a little bit of a mission and something we were quiet about, because the last thing I wanted in my own head is for anybody to think I was selling pretzels on that.
There is one other special employee here at Port City Pretzels, Eileen Marusik, one of Suzanne's daughters. It could be said that this whole pretzel business goes back to a special project Eileen and her sister did in the 6th grade, making pretzels and selling them, so the kids could see how the free enterprise system works.
And even though Eileen went on to have her own career, one day her mom made her an offer she couldn't refuse. "Come here and be my partner," she said. "Let's turn this into a true family business."
Maybe it was like a little seed was planted. I did my undergrad in Ohio, and then I went to grad school in Boston. And so she just kind of launched this company. And so I had holiday breaks off or summers off. So I've always sort of helped. And then I was in the mental health field. I was working with high-risk youth. And I loved it, but it got to be a lot. And so she had kind of introduced the idea to me. She's like, "Have you ever thought about coming to work for me and like have a piece of the company?" And at the time I had said no, and I kind of sat with it. And then finally I really was like, I don't know, maybe I do want to do this.
Eileen said yes and never looked back.
Now, you do, though, use your license at times.
Yes, so it is kind of funny how it's all overlapped a little bit just based off of who we hire. And we've had a few incidences, ironically, where it's popped up and I've been able to use it or rely back on it.
You're a woman-owned company. You hire people with intellectual or developmental disabilities. You're inclusive here. Why is that important to you to do that here?
It morphed into that, I think. So it started by just needing employees. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not humbled by it. The thought of just taking something that was like a family recipe that we had done and share it with everybody.
When you say a family recipe, your family wasn't producing these commercially?
No, just something. I mean, my everybody was a cook and everybody cooked, and that's just how we all grew up. Everything here that I'm doing, it's based on somebody's advice or something I've learned. I wasn't brought up to sell pretzels.
There's There's so many reasons that I love this story.
Me
and
too.
it's not just because I love pretzels, which I do,
You can say that again.
But
No, you don't need to say it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we know that.
but because this is a tiny little company owned by a mother and daughter team that hires all kinds of special needs people. Learns a lot of what they need to know by watching YouTube videos. And they still compete with national brands.
It is inspiring. You know, I think we all wish we could do something like this. Not necessarily pretzels,
Why not?
of course. Well, it could be. But, you know, something we know and love and be successful at it.
Let's listen to more of our conversation with Suzanne and Eiley.
I was born in Wappingers Falls, New York, and my mom was a nurse, and my dad worked for IBM. And life for me growing up, it was always adventurous. So my parents worked really hard, but like they played hard. So we camped and we boat. We did everything, and my parents took us a lot of different places. So it was good. It was a very good traditional upbringing, but really good. My degree's in business and business management. I did trade shows for a while, so I was a controller for a trade show company.
Did you always know that there was an entrepreneurial thing about you, then that you would do something like this, or?
I think I always thought about something, being able to do something or sell something. So it's really funny when I think back about it now, and I'm like, am I imagining this? But no, I can remember as a child thinking about selling something someday. It was always in the back of my mind. I love to entertain. I mean, honestly, if it was my choice, I'd probably do like a rosemary shortbread cookie or, something maybe different, but it just was pretzels.
But this clicks.
It works.
Yeah,
it works.
does work.
Yeah.
And they're not just bread and salt.
No.
Your pretzels are different.
Yes, 4 flavors.
Yeah, so that's our thing. So our thing is our seasoning that's on the pretzels.
What
So-
are the 4 flavors?
Yeah. We have Tasty Ranch Dough, which is the original, which is what I had kind of grown up with in the house. And then we introduced cinnamon sugar.
Yep,
And
sweet
then,
one.
Yep, our sweet one. Then
And then
feisty hot.
which does good in Texas.
Yeah, it's got a little, we call it like a New England kick because people in New England don't like heat. They can't do spice.
Not really hot.
We don't think it's hot, but like the average customer might say it has a little kick. And then our 4th flavor is tangy mustard and honey, and that was introduced 2 years ago. And that's our like number 1 selling.
We tumble our pretzels, we bake the seasoning into the pretzel, and then we package the pretzel. So here's a typical,
And
this
you're
is my,
packaging here.
yeah, that's what that big piece of equipment is. But we did the no preservatives route, so we tried to be different. So they get cooked over there, they're stored in that middle room, and then they come over here and we package them up.
This is a lot of pretzels, y'all.
Yeah.
You have this very capable workforce that's
Yeah.
sitting there
Capable.
doing nothing a lot
Yeah.
of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got a
Yeah.
need,
Yeah.
and you put
It
them
was-
together.
It was easy, and it just kept ballooning from there. We've grown quite a bit, but those employees are still with me. We can ask them to do 10 batches a day, or we can ask them to do 100 batches a day.
They thrive and they're so good at repetitive tasks. And that's a lot of like what it is here out back. There's some like levels of unpredictability, like how much we're gonna cook, but the packing piece, it's gonna be the same every time they come in.
And the cooking.
And the cooking, it's going to be the
They
same.
love it,
It's just
yeah.
the numbers are going to change, and maybe the flavors are going to change, maybe the bag sizes are going to change. But what you're going to do every day is either cook, or you're going to clean, or you're going to pack. It's one of those things, and I think that feels really good for people because they know what to expect to come in, and it's also. We have another machine out there, a small packaging machine. Again, and I think if I were to sit in that machine for 6 hours, I would be so bored. But for some people, it's like, I'm really good at this. I'm really good at sitting here and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And a lot of folks that we hire thrive with that repetitive task. So,
And that's not just true with IDD people.
no, it's
I mean,
with,
this can just be from the
Anybody.
regular population.
Absolutely,
Some of us love repetitive.
yes,
And the structure.
and
Yeah.
structure. Yep.
So when, she gave me the idea of these employees, and I brought on 2 employees, and then I needed a few more employees, and a few more employees, and then and I think work. So maybe
for my employees, that makes a difference. I don't treat them special. Their job isn't just to mop the bathroom, and if we're mopping the bathroom, I'm mopping the bathroom. So, I think that, I don't want to speak for my employees, but they feel included.
You're not that boss that you tell them to do something. It's not anything that you wouldn't do yourself.
No, absolutely not. And I've come across some pretty negative situations. I had investors that were concerned about my productivity. And then we had problems with the equipment, and I remember the equipment owner was like, well, who's operating the equipment? And I was like, you're kidding me, right? I mean, it's amazing.
They want to turn it into a blame game.
It's amazing. Yeah. And that was when I was like, very protective of my employees, but at the same time, we run a business here. I do have to get numbers. We just learned, okay, we're doing X number of bags a day, now we need to double that, and they're fine to double. Now we have a waiting list of people that want to work a second shift. We're preparing ourselves, but it was important to me to grow my company. I'm running a for-profit business. These are my employees. I'm so thankful that we can write a letter and it helped him get housing. Like if he can move closer to us, he doesn't have to take the bus every day. Those kinds of wins are really, really important. But that is neat to get an accolade that way. No one needs to know about it, but to know that we were able to help get him housing.
Because at the end of the day, they're just people, and we're just people, and that's a job that they're being provided.
And rightfully, you're trying to normalize this as much as possible for you and them. And what could be better than that?
It is normalizing it. And if we have to be used as an avenue to help normalize it, then that's great. Then we can do that.
Are y'all learning from your employees as they are learning from you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Also.
Well, they're really honest, for one.
Yeah.
They're really honest. And we can learn limits as far as what they can do. More importantly, we can learn what they can do. In the end, you still got to get your pretzels done. But, we make it work.
That's job number one. Get the pretzels done.
Yeah, it's in there.
So initially, where did you sell your pretzels?
I went to 10 places in downtown Portsmouth, and I was like so afraid and frightened. I tried to do everything right. So I knew I wanted to be more than farmers markets, so I knew I had to learn about UPCs and nutritional codes, and I did all of that before I ever sold a pretzel. So once everything was done, when everybody thought I was crazy doing all my R&D, when everything was all said and done, I had this bag, a similar bag, not this bag, and I went around to 10 places, and I think the most exciting thing was all 10 of them took orders, but it was within like 48 hours later, my phone was blowing up in emails that people wanted more, and I was like,
what do I do now?
And that feeling is still with me right now.
So 10 stores, then where did it go from there?
10 stores, then it went to 100 stores, and then I started doing like local trade shows, and I got picked up more. I still, when I got into another grocery store recently, I was crying. I mean, I just can't help it because it's overwhelming to me to think that it's crazy. It's just crazy. So
it's a little part of you on the shelf.
Part of me on the shelf. But I'm humbled and so thankful. And at the same time, I'm like, anybody can do this.
No, they
can't.
They
have to have the drive. They have to have the determination.
Yeah, it's
the work ethic.
So that's really special. This thing with my employees, and again, it's not something we talked about. It wasn't shared, and I didn't want to share it. And then we do say that we're inclusive business, but I didn't feel it was necessary. And now we talk about it a lot because in this world, it is necessary.
Where do you want the company to go?
Well, I'd love to be on shelf space. I mean, right now we compete with national brands, and that's exciting. Because we're just this company here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, just, not doing a terrible job advertising. We're just trying to get our pretzels packed and in and sold. When you get to that age where you see people have bigger or better or nicer things, and I remember asking my mother, like, are we rich? And my mother's like, absolutely we are. She's like, we're rich in everything that we have. And that's just such a basic thing that we all know, but we just have to remember, because it's not about the money. There's so much more to it. So.
What is it about for you?
I think at the end of the day, I always go back to, like, I have my family and how grateful I am of the family I've created, but also like the family I come from. And I think it speaks to my parents' parenting style that both my sister and I live within 15 minutes of here, and we plan, we'll just stay here and we're saturated here, and I hope that when my kids grow up that they can always know they can come back to. So at the end of the day, like anyone says, it's family.
Yeah,
is the most important thing to me.
I think for me personally, I know what it's like to experience loss, whether it's the loss of income and the loss of a loved one, and that's when change happens. That's when your mind and how you think about things happen.
Do you still eat pretzels?
Yeah.
Do you eat them every day?
No.
Do you have a favorite?
Mustard.
The mustard is your favorite.
Yeah. Cinnamon sugar is pretty good, and if I've got some, ice cream
on the
or
sweet side.
some cream cheese, pumpkin cream cheese, that's pretty darn good.
You have other recipes you're working on?
I do, but
I think staying true to this is
Yeah.
what we do and this is what we're good at. You can see certain companies have 18 different flavors, and I can only imagine what it's like in a manufacturing plant. But then I think you lose a little bit of the character of what the company is and the product is, and so just staying true. Yeah, maybe we add another flavor down the line, but I don't ever see us going this 20 different flavors or seasonal flavors. It's just not who we are.
There are lots of different pretzel companies out there. What makes yours different, other than your flavors?
The world is moving into a healthier, we tend to eat clean. Although it's a snack food, we wanted to try and make it a little bit better. So we did go down the no preservatives route with it.
Rattle off some of the stores that folks can find you in.
Well, Central Markets in Texas. We just found out on a call today that we're in Florida and a bunch of wine and beer stores.
And you didn't know that until now.
Oh, no, I don't know a lot of places. I was in the Piggly Wiggly in Alabama. I mean, there's a lot of places we don't know. We're in Monterey, California. We're in Oregon. We're in grocery. We're in Market Basket, Hannaford's, Walmart. I don't know. I feel we're successful because we have a very good balanced life. We provide jobs for employees that maybe couldn't get jobs elsewhere. They're happy, they're surviving, and that to me is success.
And if you find Port City Pretzels on a shelf, all I can tell you is grab them all. You will not be disappointed. Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. Of course, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, also our YouTube page. You can see some behind-the-scenes footage. We've got new episodes. They drop every week. You can listen wherever you get your podcast. But the best thing to do, download that free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.com.